Welcome everybody to the Keys to Wisdom channel. As you can see, I'm going to be starting out here today with the phrase deuterium fusion. And I got thinking along these lines and working upon this subject when my dude Randy sent me an email with some stuff pointing out to me what he had saw up in this key here of 5731, which is the year 1971, right? His Hebrew birth year and Gregorian birth year. So him working with the word in his own numbers, he's keeping an eye out for different things, and he sent me this stuff over to work with. But what I have discovered here is that the key to all of this fusion and everything going on in here is 5702. Now, these first two keys, 683, 692. Right, we're gonna go with the gnosis. Right, it's the direct mirror. 296, 386. Mirrors. Right, mirrors. So let's put it back in. Deuterium fusion. And we're going to throw on that mirror of gnosis. And again, 5702. 5702. Put the mirrors on there. 5702. But here I'm going to put deuterium on there. Alright, this is a low yield form of fusion. Deuterium fusion. And then now we're going to have a 5701 here. When you collide deuterium, and deuterium is a protium hydrogen atom of a proton and electron only, and one neutron. It's also, in terms of duty, heavy water will be made of regular water is two protium hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom. Heavy water is a water molecule containing a deuterium with that extra neutron. That extra neutron is what makes it heavy. So when you collide deuterium and deuterium, half the time you're going to release a protium hydrogen, just a proton and an electron, and you're going to create tritium, which is two neutrons in one hydra, and it's the third form of hydrogen. You got protium, single, no neutron, deuterium with a single neutron, and tritium, which is radioactive and has a half-life with two neutrons. If nothing is done to that tritium atom, eventually one of those neutrons will die, and that atom will become a helium-3 atom, and the neutron will be transfigured into a hydra. It'll be basically, it gets murdered from a neutron to a proton and an electron, right? Less than what it was before. So, and then the other half of the time when you collide deuterium and deuterium, you produce a helium-3 atom, which is going to be one neutron, two protons, two electrons, and you free a neutron. If that neutron is freed and not caught by any other process, which we'll get into some of those later, that neutron only sticks around here for a short period of time, and then it ports off and it leaves. It goes back across the firmament to where it came from. right? A neutron all by itself will not exist in this space because it doesn't belong here. And as soon as a neutron is freed from any element here on Earth, it'll pour it out and it'll leave out of here. Go back home is really what is going on. And all these are similar processes that at least they say is going on within the sun. So deuterium collides with deuterium, and it either produces a neutron, free neutron, and helium-3, or it produces a freed hydra, protium, hydrogen atom, and a tritium atom. That's the two things that you create when you fuse deuterium and deuterium. And that's a low yield, the amount of energy created when you're fusing deuterium with deuterium to make tritium and helium-3 and protium and neutrons, depending on which combo you're making. It's a low yield fission process in terms of energy. The higher yield is when you get into deuterium fusion with tritium. Right, and here again we got 5702, 5702, 5702, 5702. Every time that you collide a deuterium into a tritium atom, a neutron is freed. If it's not caught by anything, it goes home. It ports out of here. It goes back to the other side of the firmament, to where it came from. And it has, because it has no business being here. On the other side of the firmament, everything is neutron. This side of the firmament is for things that have plus and minus protons and electrons attached to them. That's the difference between the two spaces out there. Complete neutron space, and then there is space for more and less protons and electrons. So here, deuterium fusion tritium, 5702, 4 different times. And then now here we got deuterium fusion with lithium, and again that's 5702. And this is all of the major stuff, and this is why we're kicking to those years, 5701 and 5702. Now, when I started looking at this, right, it led me back to December of 1941, which was the Hebrew year 5702, fairly early in the year, and that's when they put together the Manhattan Project with Einstein, the whole deal, and it resulted in Nagasaki, Hiroshima, whatever, right? But there was a massive amount of advancement in terms of the ability of humans to fuck with the atoms and do both nuclear fusion and nuclear fission. Huge advancements prior to the Manhattan Project being started in beginning of 5702, right? This is the hot time, right? So the moral of this story here is saying that they're starting to master deuterium fusion with lithium in 5702. Deuterium fusion with tritium hydrogen. This is the high yield, right, in 5702, right? And prior to that, which is a step earlier, right, they started to master the deuterium fusion with deuterium in 5701, right? That 5701 could be August of 1941 would be 5701, whereas December of 1941 is 5702 when the Manhattan Project started up, that has resulted in all of the different bullshit that we have, and it's all bullshit really. Fusion, the weapons, the shit they do with Ukraine, the poisons and everything, right? It all comes down to this shit today, where Great Britain is sending depleted uranium rounds to Ukraine to poison the fuck out of one of the big bread baskets of the world, and to have kids for thousands of years fucking, or as as long as humans are around Ukraine breathing that dust in and giving them cancer and fucking all kinds of shit, right? Everywhere that anybody's ever used depleted uranium rounds, the fucking shit that goes wrong with the people breathing in those dust is off the fucking charts, right? That all has roots back to this 5701, 5702 time, and the Manhattan Project and all the other bullshit, all this crap in the news about these nuclear weapons, blah, 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 blah. All that shit stems back from the same thing, these same 2 Hebrew years, right? And beginning to be able to master the processes of deuterium fusion, deuterium fusion, tritium, and deuterium fusion, lithium, right? This is a especially big one here because what this does, this lithium, right? They can use lithium inside of these reactors as a wall around the reaction. And all those neutrons that are freed, instead of them being allowed to port back and go back home where they belong, which is why they're locked in all this material in the first place, because this is war in heaven, is all what all of this shit is now here on Earth, right? Being fought, I'll get into it, the absolute wrong way of by man. I've been so pissed off today when I started looking into all of this stuff. But they'll wrap lithium around these reactions when they're start slamming some deuterium together. Deuterium with deuterium, deuterium with helium-3. If they got some, it's very rare. They can make some, though, from deuterium and deuterium. Deuterium and tritium, slamming it together, and you wrap this lithium around there, and those neutrons get actually absorbed within the lithium, and then they can actually breed tritium from the lithium. So what they're doing is they're knocking the lithium and pulling tritium out of the lithium to try to make their fusion products here on Earth. And they're using the lithium as a trap to not allow the neutron to escape the way that the neutron is supposed to escape, right? All of this shit here, all this heavy duty advancement is shown in that 1941, that 1940, 1941, 1942 area, the Manhattan Project kicking off all in this shit, right? They did some bigger shit, and they started mastering some bigger shit than even we realized, right? They've mastered the basic product. They just don't know how to actually keep everything going consistently, and how to contain the energy from they've mastered the processes, but they haven't mastered the containment of really the abomination of all of the shit that they're doing. But they made these advancements in those Hebrew years, 5701 and 5702. That was the gnosis that they acquired, right? And they became wise in 5702 to the nuclear properties, both from the bottom up and from the top down in these time periods, right? They gained the wisdom in 5702 of all of those nuclear abilities, which is also good. It's good and evil, knowledge of good and evil, even though they probably don't have a fucking full grasp of what the deal is. Because, and again, here the gnosis, right, that they gain from the deuterium fusion. In 5702. In 5701, but prior to gaining the other higher levels, right, it's deuterium fusion with deuterium, creating helium-3 and tritium. But what these fuckers are doing, everything the absolute wrong way, because they're creating tritium. They're pulling tritium atoms, which is 2 neutrons, 1 proton, and 1 electron, out of the lithium. And they're also creating it through 2 deuteriums, right? They're slam 2 deuteriums together, create 1 tritium atom, and release 1 hydrogen atom half the time, right? But they're creating these and taking these neutrons, putting them into tritium form, and then some of them are dying because of the half-life of tritium, which is 12.32 years. But that's over the course of trillions of atoms, right? As soon as you create tritium, some of it starts dying right now, right? Some of the tritium atoms, let's say we got millions of tritium atoms, they were made yesterday. Some of them are going to die today, even though and turn into helium-3, even though the half-life is at 12.32 years. So everything that dies today, in terms of the tritium that's 1 day old, for every one that dies today, there'll be one that goes almost double the 12.32 years. So some of the other ones will stick around for 24.64 years until before one of the neutron dies and it becomes a helium-3 product from deuterium. But some of it starts dying right away. So what they're doing is they're pulling out preserved neutrons that are put here for a reason, to be preserved until a later time. They're breaking out from the higher elements all of this tritium, and they're actually killing neutrons, which is what the war in heaven was in the very beginning, right? The war in heaven, before there was any light, before there was, that was all when they started fighting back, the first collisions. This is let there be light. Deuterium and deuterium, and deuterium colliding into the tritium and colliding into the helium, the whole fucking 9 yards, the whole everything, right? Now they brought it to Earth, and then they're doing it the exact opposite way. What they're doing, the evil men on Earth are doing, because they're lazy and they're cheap, right? They're starting from the higher end of the scale, and they're destroying the neutrons that are put into all of this matter here, and supposed to be preserved for till later, till the point of the rewind. And the whole deal of a Jesus Loves Me song, right? This give you a whole different perspective on it, right? The little ones to him belong, for they are weak, but he is strong. The neutrons, the only innocents left in all of everything, right? Locked in and preserved later, those that were in neutron pairs at the time when the war in heaven started. And all the hydras attaching to them to create those tritium atoms are starting to kill them, right? The father of all lies, who was a murderer from the beginning, that's all Hydra. The original snakes is Hydra, hydrogen, right? The only atom, there's actually another one, I'm going to show you that in a minute. There's the only atom that doesn't have a neutron within it. But helium can also be made without a neutron in it. And that is how this process that they're going about all fucking the wrong way here is supposed to be gone about. It's supposed to be protium and protium fusion. That's what it's supposed to be. Protium and protium fusion. Take 2 regular hydrogen protium atoms, combine them together, and they produce helium-2. That helium-2 is a very unstable atom, and it breaks apart. over 9,999 times out of every 10,000 times that you make helium-2, it'll break back down into protium and protium. You take those two, you slam them together. And it's very unstable because there's two protons in the center of that nucleus, and a proton, right? There's no neutron in there to bond them, right? Helium-3 is stable with one neutron in there. Helium-4 is stable with two neutrons in there with those two protons. But helium-2 without any neutrons in there is not stable. It's going to break a fucking apart. So over 9,999 times when you do this, it'll break back apart into the same protium and protium. So it takes a lot of energy input at the beginning to begin to do this the right way, which is why humans are doing it the wrong way. Humans are doing it the way where God is going to destroy this fucking place and all of their knowledge because of what they're doing. Because of what they started to master in 5701 and 5702 and into that Manhattan Project and everything else. All right, but the less than one time out of every 10,000 times when you slam these two protium together, that helium-2 will change into deuterium. This is a resurrection of one of those hydras became a neutron. So you have to do this process of slamming protium into protium trillions and trillions and trillions of times so that you get piles of those 10,000 times, that less than one time out of every 10,000 times you're going to resurrect one of them hydras into a neutron to create your deuterium. Then when you do this over and over, and it takes a lot of energy to get it started, you produce the pool of deuterium for the fusion, right? Then you have a bunch of deuterium that you made. It used to all be protium. It was all electron and proton. You resurrected some of those atoms into deuteriums that are now electron, proton, and a neutron, right? Now you can do the deuterium into deuterium collision, and you're going to produce, when you produce hydrogen or helium-3, you produce a free neutron, and because you're working from the way up, bottom up, you don't have to catch that motherfucker like that the lithium shit, and then breeding more tritium out of that lithium shit. They're doing everything the wrong way. Modern fusion is abomination. Humanity will be fucking destroyed from it because of what they're doing to the little ones that don't fucking belong to them. But if they were going to do it, this is the way that you would do it. And it would require a lot of energy to go into it at the beginning to collide those protium hydrogen atoms to create the deuterium. Then when you start colliding deuterium into deuterium, you start getting a small yield payback. From there, the process, there'll be no more energy input will be needed. Then off of this, you're going to create the helium-3 and tritium to then use your deuterium to slam in to that tritium and produce the high yield stuff. And now, after a little bit of while, you paid for all of the energy you put in at the beginning to create your deuterium, to do it the right way. All of the tritium that you make, if any of it is lost from neutron form, like the half-life, it's still going to have a half-life when you're making it this way, when you're making it the right way from the bottom up. Any of that loss, it's not a loss, it's not a lost neutron overall. This process only saves. It resurrects and saves, right? So, but when some of the tritium that you make, it is going to have loss, just like the tritium that they're pulling out of the higher elements. The difference is the neutrons locked into our higher elements are put there for a reason, and God is going to whoop the fucking ass of mankind for fucking with those little ones that don't belong to them. But doing it this way here, you are resurrecting and you are only saving. You are not fucking destroying what has been locked up and preserved for until the day of the great rewind when it will all be resurrected. But for nuclear fusion on Earth, for man to be able to do it and get the everlasting energy and do all of the stuff that we're supposed to do, because the fucking oceans sitting there are supposed to be converted into this. We are supposed to be splitting those water atoms, taking those two protium atoms in the water molecule, colliding them together over time, forming that deuterium, then colliding that deuterium into other deuterium, making the tritium, making the helium-3, making the energy, and doing a conversion here on Earth as it was done in heaven, as it is being done in heaven. They say that's the process of your sun and every other star that there is. That's what it's all doing. It is resurrecting hydras and freeing neutrons and sending them home. That is what is going on in this whole deal. And here on Earth, the way humans are going about it, destruction of everything is fucking coming because of this. All those behind unlocking neutrons and capturing those neutrons here on Earth from the higher elements and unlocking tritium and killing those neutrons into turning them into hydras here, your ass is fucking grass, just like the original ass of Hydra and all of the other fucking self-replicate, all of the motherfuckers out there, right? They got their ass handed to them. The same thing is going to happen to the evil people here, right? Because what you unlocked was the knowledge of good and evil. What I just showed you is the good way to go about doing it. You have to start with protium and work your way up. You have to pay for the initial energy to create the deuterium to go on to the self-sustaining fusion. But it will all pay for itself at the end. All the energy put in will be paid back. All of the energy needed to continue the process once you get your original pool of deuterium from the pools of protium, everything goes non-stop. It is, and it has the blessing of God, and the people who did that the good way would have, it'd be heaven on earth. No energy worries whatsoever. All the energy you could dream of, ever, completely clean, doesn't affect your air, your water, your nothing. And the whole fucking deal of global warming and rising sea level, well, if we were doing our fucking jobs, that fucking sea level would be dropping, because that's where we would be getting our protium from. We'd be breaking that seawater down, releasing the oxygen that's a prison right now, holding those two hydras by their dumb fucking heads, right? We would grab those two hydras from the oxygen that's holding them in prison right now. We slam those dumb motherfuckers' heads together, left and right, multiple 10,000 at a time, over and over and over and over again, trillions and trillions and trillions of times, and we build up our deuterium the right way. Then we collide it, do all of our shit, and everything would go great. We'd have the blessing of God to be doing it, and everything on earth would roll in harmony. But what we have today is the nuclear fusion, and the same people that are doing the nuclear fission and have all the weapons and everything, they went the wrong way. They went the evil path. They're working for Satan, the original devil, the original Hydra. That's what they're doing. They're killing neutrons and creating more hydras. They're killing the innocent, the little ones that don't belong to them, and creating more devils. and they're gonna be destroyed for it. All of these motherfuckers in on this, all of their knowledge, everything that they have going, they're gonna be fucking destroyed for this. Guaranteed. For all this shit that they began to master in 5701 and 5702, they're gonna have their asses fucking handed to them for it. They're fucking idiots, and they're cheap, and they're fucking jokers, right? And this process here is really this lithium, deuterium fusion, lithium, all of it goes together. Deuterium and lithium, deuterium and tritium, right? It's a big cycle. That's their fucking dream cycle. That's an abomination. They get one of these running sustained, it will never be sustained here for long, right? The whole place will be torn apart for doing this shit. And the whole place is already gonna get torn apart because of them trying to get into this fucking shit. Randy sent me this stuff over, thankfully, and I got to begin to work with it and see some of the stuff that was in it that I wouldn't have until maybe a lot further down the line if he didn't bring this up. That's what this is about, these 2 fucking Hebrew years here. And I tell you, as I got into it and I started understanding what the fuck was happening then at those times, what the fuck the men are trying to do in terms of the fusion here and the fission that they're doing, they're working the wrong end of the goddamn fucking elemental cycle. They're going from the big down, and then they're jumping up to lithium and going back down, right? None of this has the blessing of God, right? Their way they're going about fusion, and they're telling you what they're trying to do, right? All that'll save none. It's fucking ending all, right? And we're already into that point where they've probably gone too far, right? These fuckers have killed little ones with the shit that they started to master. 5701, 5702, Manhattan Project, all of that fucking shit, right? 1941, 5701, 5702, right? But man, I got fucking so hot when I start realizing what's going on, what they're doing, and how the proper way to fucking do it is right there to be done. But they're too fucking stupid, they're fucking too cheap, and really they're too fucking evil to do it the right way, right? I think some of them can comprehend how to do it the right way. They don't see the value, right? It's a very narrow way to do it the right way, and not many people would want to fucking go down that route because of all the investment it takes up front to properly do it, to begin get your stocks of deuterium, right? Through those, it's a resurrection process. But in the broad way is the way they're all trying to go, is where you take a shortcut and you start from higher elements like lithium and start breaking tritium very easily out of the lithium, right? Because you can do that easily. You can easily slam the deuterium into the lithium, and you can breed and break out that tritium. Then you can slam that deuterium into the tritium, and you have your high yield fusion. But they've never, just because of the way they're going about it and everything, right? They don't have a blessing of God on their side, which is why they don't have active fusion plants working everywhere and free energy and heaven on earth, right? They are creating hell on earth for everybody, everywhere, right now, right? Everybody, under anybody that's got any nuclear power in the world, you're under goddamn satanistic fucking monsters is what you're under. The worst pieces of shit in the history of mankind, right? And they've created hell on earth everywhere for everybody, right? But if they had been doing it the right way, well, they would have had, everything would have went in terms of being able to do it and sustain it and reap all the benefits from it. But you can't do it the fucking shortcuts and the wrong ways and get this shit done, right? They're trying to get unlimited energy from committing atrocities and taking shortcuts, but they ain't never gonna get shit out of it. They're gonna get the fucking end of all of their shit. They're gonna have no energy out of that, the way that they've gone about it. But there is a proper way to go about it, right? And when you do that and you create that deuterium the proper way, right, there is never any neutrons that wind up getting killed. None of the little ones that do not fucking belong to humanity, right? None of those little ones get killed doing it the right way. This way that they're doing it, all those little ones that do not fucking belong to you are dying. And for that, mankind is gonna fucking die out. And mankind's knowledge of this shit is gonna fucking die out. And that's the moral of this 5702 fucking deal here. That's the gnosis of the deuterium fusion that's in the mirrors, right? And those two mirrors, right, is when you slam those two deuterium together, the mirrors that it's creating is those tritium and a freed hydra, helium-3 and a freed neutron, right? And it's the two opposite deuteriums, they're slammed together, they come together as one. Bam! Mirrors, right? There's big time gnosis, right? And it was all picked up right in this time. 5702, 57 right, 02 left. And that was all this deuterium fusion. And this is how you can firm it all out. You add the deuterium fusion, 5701, which is late 1940 and early 1941. And tritium is your next step, 5702. Right? Really, it's 5702 all 6 times. All 6 of these keys are 50 combinations of 5702. Right? That's the year when the Manhattan Project started. Right? And that's the end of 1941 and the first 9 months of 1942. Right? When the old Manhattan Project was going. And this is lithium. Those are the main 3 of everything: deuterium fusion, deuterium fusion, tritium, and deuterium fusion, lithium. And it's also the process that they would like to get going and sustain, but they'll never fucking do it because there's some wicked assholes. They're fucking devil, satanic fucking monsters, every one of them that's in this field, right? If they weren't, they go about it the fucking right way. And they'd start with protium, and they'd fucking resurrect some shit. They'd bring some real life, real shit to life. But they're just killers. They're like their father, who was a murderer from the beginning. Those motherfuckers that you follow in every one of these fucking nuclear power nations today. Right? All of them are just like their father, who was a murderer from the beginning. The father of all lies, right? That's their shit. It's total fucking lies. It's not happening. They're being motherfucking destroyed for it, right? And those who may be left around from humanity, right? They're not gonna have all this knowledge of this will be gone. But if they live up to their billing one day, right, their knowledge will lead them to the proper path to fusion, blessed by God, heaven on earth, and that's going to be protium colliding with protium over and over and over again, trillions and trillions and trillions of times, and creating that deuterium the right way, and then colliding them the right way to create your tritium and your helium and all of the energy and everything else, right? But that's the unfortunate moral of this story, as documented here by what I show you here, and you can go back into the Hebrew years 5701 and 5702 and look at what the fuck was going on with all of this shit that I'm showing you right here that was happening right at those exact times. They fucking went the wrong way. They're fucking done for. So that's that. And also this is right here is going to show you who's evil on earth today. What nations are. Russia? Yes. United States? Yes. Great Britain? Yes. France? Yes. Israel? Yes. Germany? Every fucking single one of them. Switzerland? Every one of them that's got their hand in this fucking jar of nuclear fusion and nuclear fission on the big end. Every single one of them is as evil as it gets. Every single one of them is going the fuck down, and all of their knowledge around this abominable bullshit that they're doing is going down too. So that's also provides you a fucking plumb line in case your fucking dumb ass sits out there right now and thinks any of these fucking nations are worth a fucking shit, because they're not. Neither is the United Nations or any other fucking organization there is here. It's 100% fucking putrid, led by 100% evil monster motherfuckers, and their time here is coming to a fucking end. They're dabbling into this shit here, this 5701, 5702 action that they did. That's the signing of their fucking death warrants. You are fucking done. You're killing little ones that don't fucking belong to you, and your ignorant, evil ways are coming to an end. So anyways, with that, please like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you think that's something you should do. And have a nice night.